Hey there, my name is Jason. I am the founder of Distress Loan Advisors. I help small business owners who have SBA loans to work through issues primarily through the offer and compromise process. Unless you have an EIDL loan, they're not considering offer and compromise right now, but I do have a whole bunch of resources for EIDL. I've got a free audio course, a paid audio course. I do case evaluations. I've got blog articles for regular SBA borrowers. I also have case evaluations, and I've got a blog with over 200 articles, all written by moi. All right, so the topic that I want to cover today is what exactly does an SBA guarantee mean, and what does it mean to the borrower? So this is a question that I've been dealing with for years. I get a lot of people who call, and the conversation goes something like this. I borrowed this money. It had a 75% guarantee. So if I borrowed $100,000, I'm really only on the hook for $25,000, right? Because the SBA guarantees the other 75%. The answer is no, that is not correct. And so in my blog on my website, I have this bold and underlined. And what it says in bold and underlined is that the SBA guarantee is for the lender only. It is not for the borrower. Exclamation point. This is a big thing that a lot of people are disappointed by, because I guess what happens is when people take their loans to begin with, they'll go to their bank and they'll say, oh, an SBA loan, okay. And the SBA loan officer says, okay, well, this is an SBA guaranteed loan. And the borrower says, okay, so the SBA guarantees 75% of it. So if I default, then the SBA pays 75%. And the loan officer says, yes, they will reimburse 75%. Now, what they're failing to explain, and they're probably of a different frame of mind than the borrower, but what they're failing to explain is that 75% of those funds come back to the bank. So the bank is only out 25%, but as far as the borrower is concerned, you owe 100% of the money. So from that perspective, the SBA guarantee is of no help, financially speaking, of no help when you're trying to settle. So then that begs the question of, well, what's the point of the SBA guarantee? What did I pay an SBA guarantee for? What did I pay an SBA guarantee fee for if it doesn't even help me? And the answer to that is that SBA loans are supposed to be an alternative to traditional commercial lending, and they're supposed to be an option that's available when conventional financing methods are not available. And so the SBA really filled a gap here when a lot of lenders didn't want to do loans to small businesses, primarily because of a lack of collateral. The SBA stepped up and said, okay, we will do those loans. So in theory, you're only supposed to take an SBA loan if you can't get credit elsewhere. And so the way the SBA funds their program, so basically all these losses that they're writing off, is through these guarantee fees. And so again, the question is, well, what did I get for that guarantee fee? In theory, you got access to capital that you otherwise would not have gotten access to. So that's the explanation of what exactly is the guarantee. Now, here's something else that I want to point out. So even though the SBA reimburses the bank for typically 75%, that's for the 7A product, it doesn't mean that now there's two separate loans. So in other words, every once in a while, I'll get a lender who doesn't do a lot of SBA lending, and they tell the borrower, well, you can try to settle on our 25%, but you're going to have to deal with the SBA for their 75%. If that happens to you, go like this, no, that's not how it works. The lender, if they're servicing the loan, they're supposed to service the entire loan. Their part, the SBA part, there really shouldn't be a distinction. And again, I'll say this again, there should not be a distinction between their money and the SBA's. They're supposed to be looking at it as a whole. And if it makes sense to accept a settlement offer, or in the bank's situation, recommend it for approval, there just becomes a pro rata share of that recovery. So if I owe $100,000, and let's say I settle that debt for $40,000, so there's $60,000 that's written off. that $60,000 loss is shared between the SBA and the lender. So the SBA, 75% of that loss is theirs, 25% is the bank's. And so what this all means is you still do one settlement. You should not be doing two settlements. And if a bank tells you you are supposed to do two settlements, you got to push back because it's not correct. They're not doing it right. Tell them, go ask the SBA. That's not it. Here's the other thing that shouldn't happen, and some banks will advocate for us, for themselves, and they'll basically say, all right, well, just pay us our 25%, and then we'll say yes to whatever you offer to the SBA. Don't fall for that either, because the bank doesn't have the ability to. First of all, they can't do that. All the losses need to be shared on that pro rata basis, and so the only way to make the originating lender whole is to pay the loan in full. Otherwise, they're always going to eat 25% of whatever the loss is. So the other thing that people will sometimes do is they'll come to me and say, well, the lender is only out, say it's $100,000. The lender's only out 25 grand. Can't I just offer them 25 grand and be done with it? And the answer is no, because if the lenders were made whole and the SBA were eating, all of it, that would be 100% guarantee. And in most cases, they're not doing 100% guarantee. Like they did them for PPP, but that was an anomaly. In the vast majority of cases, it's something less than 100%. For a long time ago, they bumped it up to 90 during the financial crisis of 2008. But for the most part, we're talking about 75% guarantees. So how do I wrap this up? So if you had an SBA loan, the guarantee is for the lender only. It does not reduce the amount that you owe. And when that guarantee is paid, it should not change anything as far as your settlement. Your lender should still be reviewing it. If they recommend it for approval, it goes to the SBA and makes the final decision. If the SBA approves your settlement amount, then whatever the resulting loss is after they recover your funds is split on a pro rata basis between the lender and the SBA. So that's it. If you have more questions, I've got lots of answers. You can book a consult for 30 minutes. I've got an EIDL course. I've got a free EIDL course, and I've got a bunch of blog articles. So that's it. Thanks for checking in. We'll see you next time.